Hello again, everybody, and welcome back to York River Cannabis. And today is going to be the last Soil Wars update as far as the growing goes. Today I'm going to announce who I think the winners are and the honorable mentions of all of the soils. But first, if you're new here to the channel, please hit that subscribe button, and thank you to all the people who already subscribed. Our channel is growing greatly and I do appreciate it. So before I offend, I'm going to roll credits at the end of this video, thanking all the participants in Soil Wars. It's too many to even remember off the top of my head. So look forward to that at the end of the video. But let's get right into who I think did great and who I think could improve their soil. And the way I'm grading these plants, so that you know how I'm doing this, is I have my notes here beside me and I'll read through them as we go through. But ultimately, the grading system that I'm using is a 25% of the grade is going to come from that vegetative stage, 25% is going to come from how they carried the flower, and ultimately 50% is going to come from the finish. And the reason why I'm weighing so much on the finish is because ultimately that's what every grower wants, right? Every grower wants a great finish. They want a great product. So that's what I'm weighing those on. So let's get right into the results. So as far as soils that just didn't quite make the cut or were added in extra by me, and I want to thank those soils right now, Nova Hemp. They make their own soil up in Northern Virginia, and unfortunately that plant went through a transplant shock, and we documented that throughout the year. Baby Booze, a popular name brand that just went through a transplant shock, and I really am disheartened by the fact that those two got a transplant shock, because one of them is a fan favorite and one of them is a local soil. So I really did not like the fact that that happened, but that's how experiments go. So I really do appreciate both of those soils participating, and a shout out to HSH Organics for getting us that Baby Booze. The two soils that I entered that were not part of it were the Bio Bloom and the Coast of Maine Raised Bed. Both did fantastic. I was really quite impressed with both of their growth, so kudos to them, but unfortunately they're not part of the 13 that were competing. So let's get in. We're going to start from the bottom and we're going to work our way up to number one. So many of you may not agree with this decision, but I put Fox Farm Ocean Forest at number 10, and here's why. Its vegetative growth was middle of the pack at best, right? It hovered between 4th and 5th and then ultimately 6th place. Its flower stage left it right there in the middle, and then its finish was absolutely horrendous, and that's why I put it at 10. I was not impressed with it, and given its reputation, I was actually very disappointed in the soil. So that's my critique of Fox Farm Ocean Forest. Let's get into number 9, is a tie between Pro Mix and Cannabis. And I actually might look back and say I should have put Pro Mix ahead of Cannabis, but I'm going to explain to you why I put them as a tie at 9th place. The reason why I put them as a tie as 9th place is because Cannabis remained at the back of the pack for the most of Soil Wars, and it finished barely above Fox Farm. Pro Mix was at the back of the pack all year until the very end. Its finish was one of the strongest that we had. So that 50% margin of grading is an A+. It finished great, and you know, I spoke poorly about that soil, but as we continued to give it nutrients, that soil really improved itself. So I was very impressed by its finish, but it got an F in veg and it got an F in original flower. So that's why I put those at tie. And the only thing I could critique is if you're going to use Pro Mix, you're definitely going to want to have a host of nutrients to get that plant where it needs to be. And with Cannabis, you know, I'm fairly impressed with it. I don't really have too many critiques for it. It was at the back of the pack, but I think ultimately there's a lot of fluctuations, whether it's an indoor soil or an outdoor soil. So number 7 is going to be HSH Organics Home Mixed Soil. And I was very impressed with its finish. But again, this is one of those soils that hung out at the back of the pack throughout the entire summer. You know, veg stage was hit or miss. The initial flower stage wasn't that great, but it finished very strong. And again, with that 50% grade for finish, I put it at number 7, which is a respectable number, and I think that's it. It fits perfectly for that position. I don't really have any critiques of it. It did very well, and as for most growers, that's a very acceptable growth. So should be proud of that soil, and I don't have any major critiques. And again, I'm not a soil builder and I'm not an expert in soil. I'm just giving you what I observed throughout the summer. All right, so coming in at number 6 was Coast of Maine's potting soil. This one got about a B+-ish grade in that initial veg stage. It really started off strong, and then throughout the summer it just continued to drop. And its initial flower stage was not that great, but its finish was fairly strong. And so that's why I put it at 6. It's just outside the top 5, and I think that's a perfect spot for it. I don't think there's anything wrong with that potting soil. And quite honestly, it's not even a cannabis soil. It's not designed for cannabis. So the mere fact that that potting soil sits at number 6 is quite impressive. And I'm very impressed with Coast of Maine's potting soil. And the few experiments I did when I mixed it with lobster compost, it would be a top 3 contender. So that's my critique of that. And I really did enjoy working with the Coast of Maine potting soil. So now we're going to start with the top 5. And number 5 is Soil King. Now Soil King hung out at the back of the pack, you know, in the middle of the pack for most of the veg. It bumped up a little bit as Fox Farm and Cannabis slid. And then ultimately it finished fairly well. And that's why I'm going to put it at number 5. I think that's a very deserving spot. Soil King makes a great clean soil. And I know a lot of other soils are great and clean, but I know that's their niche. And given the focus on that, along with the exponential growth and the great growth that that soil provides, I think it's a great soil for most cannabis growers that are looking for a very clean and a very nice plant. So number 4, I really toyed with. It was a really hard decision, but I wanted to draw a line in the top 5. I really didn't want too many ties on the top 5. And number 4 is going to be Dirtcraft Organics. Now, Dirtcraft had its time in the first number 1 spot for a week or two, and it slid down, but it maintained in really the top 3 to 4 all summer long. And the only reason that I put it at 4th was because of its finish. I was not greatly impressed with its finish, but again, I mean, we're talking about a top 4 soil here. It finished way better than, let's say, Fox Farm. So kudos to them, a great soil. It did very well for the veg, it did very well to carry the flower, and it finished very, very good. So it's definitely, it fits in that 4th spot, and it's close competitor. And this is where I really had a struggle, is now number 3 is going to be Coast of Maine Stonington Blend. Coast of Maine Stonington Blend ran into a caterpillar problem, but it had a very good veg growth, had a decent flower, but it finished very strong. And the dry flower was ultimately the decision between putting it up to 3rd and putting Dirtcraft down to 4th. The dried flower of the Stonington Blend was very impressive, a very dense, nice flower, whereas the Dirtcraft was a very nice flower, but it was not the quality of the Stonington Blend. So very impressed with Stonington. It's their flagship soil for Coast of Maine as far as cannabis growing goes, and I can see why. It's a top 3 contender, and they should be very, very proud of it. And if it's in your area, I definitely would grab a bag to try it. So now we're going to get to the 2nd place finish. 2nd place, and quite honestly, it won the Just Add Water campaign, and it came in 2nd for Attack of the Clones, and everybody should really look for it in their grow stores, is Bio-All from Bio 365. Quite an impressive soil. Can't say anything bad about it. I mean, if Build the Soil wasn't involved, they would be number 1, and I think that should speak volumes, that the fact that they're hanging out with these top contenders and they're doing really well. They had the veg for a lot of the early parts of Soil Wars. They held on the flower really well, and the finish was phenomenal. So kudos to Bio-All and Bio 365. What a great cannabis soil. I have no critique of it whatsoever. It was just a phenomenal soil to work with. And so now we're going to get into our number 1 soil, and it's a tie. And this is the only reason why I decided to make number 1 a tie, was because I had a really hard time deciding who was going to be the number 1 from Build a Soil, right? So we had Build a Soil 3.0, which finished ridiculously strong, but really in the beginning held in the back of the pack for a while and then just zoomed up to the front spot and never looked back. And Build a Soil Light was always at the top spot and always hanging out up there. So that's why I have a tie. I could not pick between the two, and they're both fantastic soils. You saw the results, you saw what they did, and I'm thoroughly impressed with the growth of both those soils. And Build a Soil, of course, goes out of their way to make sure it's non-GMO, it's clean, it's nice soil, and they've just been testing their soils and they've been getting great results, and that's just proof in what we had here this summer. So thank you to Build a Soil. Congratulations on your Soil Wars victory, and congratulations to all the contenders. They're all great soils, and to put yourselves out there like this is quite a big deal, and I do appreciate you guys sending these soils, and I look forward to working with those soils in the future. So that's it for Soil Wars. You know, we're gonna have some trim bag videos, and I'm gonna have a couple more Soil Wars related videos, but this is it. These are the results. The end is here. This is Soil Wars end game, and I couldn't be happier, and I really want to emphasize a big thank you to everybody who participated, whether it was Smart Pots or Bucky's Organics and all these other people that don't have any soils but were willing to give their nutrients and worm castings a try in Soil Wars. I really do appreciate it. It's been a wonderful experience. It's been fantastic. Unfortunately, as of right now, we won't be doing a Soil Wars this winter, but I am looking into maybe doing another one next summer. We'll see how that plays out and who would like to participate in that. But of course, I would love for Build a Soil to get back involved with that, because they are now the hempire, the hemperor of soils. I'm very impressed with Build a Soil and all the other ones. So thank you guys for watching Soil Wars throughout the summer, and look forward to our trimming Soil Wars videos with trim bag, and we've got a couple other things in the works that are Soil Wars related. And if you haven't subscribed yet, now's a great time. We're going to be starting to do all kinds of different videos for cannabis growing and cannabis harvesting, and what to do after you've done with the grow season. So thank you for watching the video, folks. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, and those links will be in the description below. And of course, we're going to roll those final credits as a big thank you to all the organizations that participated. So thank you very much, and we'll see you again.